Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share my full review, the digitally digested segment, for the Asus Transformer Pad mobile dock. Now this is designed exclusively for the TF701 that I've been covering. In fact, this is what makes it a transformer. So for $140 you can pick up this keyboard dock that does have a battery inside, which will extend the battery life through actively charging your tablet while it's docked right there on the connector. Providing roughly 4 additional hours of life. But, that's going to depend on usage, much like the actual battery life of the tablet itself. No backlighting on this keyboard, but overall a definite improvement from the previous generation of the Transformer. A little bit of a redesign, better keys, more of a traditional computing experience than we got from, generations past. So definitely an improvement. The touchpad works fairly well. Click to right and left click physically, as well as gestures for scrolling, no pinch to zoom, but still fairly robust for a keyboard accessory, especially when you think about what kind of keyboard docks exist for tablets like this. And this is why Asus is good at what they've been doing here. They've been successful because they've done it right for the most part, and I'll get to the problems towards the end of this full review. You can see on the left side of the device we have the charging port, which is the proprietary port that the Transformer uses, the TF701. No included cable to charge with this device. Asus has never included it with the dock. Would I like to see them include it? Sure. You've got an LED there for charging activity. It'll let you know by going from amber to green when it has completed charging the internal battery on the actual keyboard dock. Nothing on the front end of the design. By the way, all plastic build here. Would love to see Asus move to something a little more metallic to reflect the aluminum body that you get, at least in part, with the TF701, but until that happens, wishful thinking, I suppose. Over here we have part of what makes the Transformer so unique, and that is the USB 3.0 port, a full-size port that can play host, do just about anything you want, much like a traditional computer, but now with the speed of USB 3.0, something that, again, was vacant from previous generations. And then you have, again, a familiar face, the full-size SD card slot. So that's definitely a welcomed addition. And between the full-size SD card slot and the micro SD card slot on the Transformer, you really can boost up storage to your heart's content. I mean, right now I believe 128 gigs is supported on the full-size card slot here and 64 on the micro. So, and those things are becoming a lot more affordable. The 64 gigs have come down tremendously. The 128s are getting better. So shortcut keys all over this keyboard, from back to Wi-Fi, powering on and off, same with Bluetooth, turning off the touchpad, brightness controls, auto brightness on one touch, just everything you could think of, the browser, settings, video playback, audio, the actual lock. It's all here. This was on previous generations, so it's not surprising to see this, but overall, you have to buy this if you get the Transformer. I mean, why are you actually purchasing a TF701, the Transformer, the king of convertible devices, at least in the mobile sector, I would say? Granted, Surface 2 is catching up, in my opinion, and it is a very solid offering, but when it comes to the functionality that this dock provides, it gets as close to any mobile experience is going to a traditional clamshell computing one. And when combined with the tablet, that extra battery life really is a bonus. I mean, we've got a beautiful tablet here in terms of screen resolution, performance from its processor, RAM, GPS, Wi-Fi that's dual band, really everything that you could possibly want. Front and rear cameras, no flash, but a nice finish, a solid build quality. They're missing stereo speakers, but this is the part that allows you to really take it to the next level and actually transform your device. So here's the catch. Everything's great on paper, and Asus has done this in the past and been very successful at it. And I've already posted videos about the actual dock that we're looking at here that I'm giving you the final word on, at least in my opinion. And as I've mentioned, it's a must-have. Don't buy the Transformer, really. in my opinion, unless you're going to plan to transform it. That's why it's called a transformer. In the same vein, I do think the Transformer is one of the best 10.1-inch tablets at its price point without this dock. But again, the dock is the entire, in my opinion, allure of having the TF701, and always has been. That's what transforming is all about. The problem is there's a connectivity issue. I've mentioned it in previous videos, and you can actually see right here, there's a bit of play in between the connection port, or I should say how snug the tablet fits into the port on the dock. And that's where the problem lies. It wasn't clear initially if it was firmware or hardware, and it's pretty clear it is hardware. In the past, all of the Transformer docks had really snug fits. In fact, you can go back and check out my video where I demonstrated that you could get the Infinity into the original Prime dock, and it was incredibly tight, which worried people about putting flex on the frame. But right now, I think we all wish that we could have that sort of tight fit back, frankly, because it causes all sorts of connectivity issues. And right now, I'm moving the tablet, but the actual hinge isn't moving at all. So scary stuff. I worry that you could actually break the tablet, opening it and closing it, to get the right position for your viewing angle that you desire. So that's a concern. The fact that it's, again, just not keeping a steady connection, I would say about 7 to maybe 8 out of 10 times it performs as expected. I open it up, it wakes the device up, the touchpad is working, it shows battery status for both devices accurately. But then there are those 2 times, maybe even 3 times out of 10, I'll change it to 3, where it fails, and I have to actually go ahead and pop it out, redock it, and then the connection is solid again. This affects charging. This affects the overall experience that you expect to actually get out of the Transformer. So as much as I love the concept and think that Asus has done a great job in refining it and polishing it in this latest generation, which is by far the most powerful tablet arguably on the market, the dock port issue is a big one, especially when that's the whole pitch. I mean, imagine if the Galaxy Note 10.1 2014, if the S Pen bugged out and didn't function. I mean, people would be going mad, especially if they actually paid more for the S Pen, which you can argue you do because it is built into the extremely high price. I mean, after all, that is one of the most expensive tablets on the market. So this is a big faux pas on Asus's behalf. I'm not sure how they missed it. In fact, the Transformer Book T100, the Windows 8.1 Bay Trail machine that I reviewed, very inexpensive, very popular tablet for good reason, very flexible, inexpensive, and built relatively well. I mean, you're not expecting anything incredible at the $300 or $350 price point that it represents. But here, we're in a whole nother league. $450 for the tablet, and almost $150 after tax, at least, depending on your state, for the keyboard. So you're almost spending as much as a computer. It's got to at least work. And I'm shocked to be saying this because on all of the previous gens that I reviewed, which is every one that Asus has ever made, this was never an issue. And at least in the few instances where there were quality control problems, it was isolated. This seems to be widespread. Hopefully, the next batch of docks is corrected. That's really the easy way to rectify this. They don't have to keep manufacturing ones with improper fits, because that, or an improper fit, because that seems to be the issue here. But otherwise, if it works, I think we all know already it's a fantastic product and really does change the entire way you can use a mobile operating system like Jelly Bean and what will ultimately be KitKat, because Asus has been very aggressive about updating it. I also want to point out, as I mentioned before, the active charging. You can see right now that the LED on the TF701 is amber. That's because the tablet is charging actively the tablet. So the keyboard dock is actively charging whenever this is actually attached to make sure that your tablet is going to be topped off in terms of battery supply whenever you do go mobile and break away from that auxiliary battery power that you're getting out of the keyboard dock. So look, what it really comes down to is that once this gets rectified, which trust me, Asus will, this is their flagship product, this is definitely without a question one of the best accessories you could buy for any product on the market, specifically in mobile. and a must-have when it comes to the TF701. I'm sure Asus will fix this, and for those of you who aren't having the problem, which I initially didn't really notice, and then it got progressively worse, and it may be a matter also of the hardware degrading over time from the connection and just adjusting your viewing angle like I showed before, chime in. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear how many people are having this problem and how many of you have perfect units, because after all, the quality control on the TF701 itself is stellar. No dead pixels, no backlight bleed, no uneven glass. I mean, this is something that from Asus used to be a rarity, and here I thought they had finally matured and become a higher quality manufacturer because of the fact that they had success and popularity. But at least the dock in this case, which by the way also doesn't match, not that that's a big deal, it's a close match, we'll call it more of a complementary color rather than a direct match, it unfortunately does devalue the entire experience, at least until it gets rectified. And hopefully in the next gen, Asus at that price point will decide to give us a metallic dock that matches the finish that we have here on the TF701 or the next generation 02, because that really would be ideal, and I think that everyone would be, even if it cost an extra $10 or $20, would be more than happy to pay for that quality upgrade in the dock. So hopefully Asus is listening, love the product, fix the dock. It will, as a result, end up being one of the best devices on the market, which right now it does represent. It just has a faulty connection. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.